day's just another day. I pray soon as I woke. Never thought I'd be the victim of a paralyzing stroke. On that day, just another day. I pray soon as I woke. Never thought I'd be the victim of a paralyzing stroke. Stroke could be you. It happened to me. Never thought it could happen to me. On that day, just another day. I pray soon as I woke. Never thought I'd be the victim of a paralyzing stroke. On that day, just another day. I pray soon as I woke. Never thought I'd be the victim of a paralyzing stroke.
What's up, boys and girls? How you guys doing? This is another episode of You're Too Young to Have a Stroke, and I have the vivacious, the beautiful, the lovely, the sensual, the cream of the crop, the best co-host you could possibly have. You don't have to have words for this woman right here.
Flowers, baby.
Christina, what's up, baby?
Hi.
How you doing, sweetheart? I missed you.
12th episode. And our last one. We out.
It's been 12? It's 12 already?
It's been 12.
All right, that means we're at the end of season 1, you know. Whew.
All right. And I figure I bring my own flowers.
Where's mine?
Unfortunately, Greg, I don't have enough flowers to fill your head. But let's talk about what we're talking about tonight, honey bunny. What we got?
You know, like Christina said, this is the 12th episode of You're Too Young to Have a Stroke, and this is the last episode for season 1. And we want to end off this episode talking about, it's not over. Life is not over after you have a stroke. There's so much things that you could do and so much things you have to look forward to. Christine and I, we talk about this all the time. The reason why we do this podcast, so we can let you know that you can get up out of your depression, out of your anxiety, and live a fulfilling life. You have to stop blaming yourself and move forward. So that's what this show is all about. And today is no different. We're still in the month of July. And Christine, I got this little thing I want to read to you guys, if you don't mind, if I could bring it up on the screen. We're in the month of July, and it's still July is Disability Pride Month. And this is a little thing that I wanted to show our audience that don't really understand what's going on with us, need to just take this into their consideration when they're talking to us. So if you guys can't see it, I'll read it out to you. Disability Pride Month is in the month of July. So please keep in mind when you're dealing with someone that has a disability, one, not all disabilities are visible. We talked about that in the first episode of Disability Pride Month. We talk about invisible disabilities. Excuse me. This is very important because, I need water or something. Especially when someone has invisible disabilities, you really need to take mindful of this. If someone says they're disabled, listen to them, because they shouldn't have to explain to you that they have a disability. Who are you? If they say they have a disability, just say, okay, and ease off. Number 3, no one is too young to be disabled. That's a lot of misconception that people say, well, you're too young to have a stroke. That's the whole reason why we have this show. Or you're too young to have a heart attack. I believe LeBron James' son just had a cardiac arrest. And he's 18 years old, 17 years old. So you're never too young to have something like this happen to you. The next one we have here, stop suggesting cures for disability you know nothing about. Yeah, that's the major one that you should really take really mindful of. A lot of people come out and give you examples like, hey, have you tried yoga? Maybe that could stretch your body out. Maybe you could be able to do this, maybe to do that. Please don't. And the last but not least, disabled is not a dirty word. I kind of have my things about that, Christina, but it is what it is.
I was interested to hear that. When I read that, when you sent that to me, I'm like,
yeah, I
Why are you sending me this? You don't like the word disabled.
I know, Christina. But Christina, since this is still Disability Pride Month and people don't know what it's all about, can you give us a little synopsis of what it means to us?
Well, oddly enough, today, our last episode of episode 1 falls on the 33-year anniversary of when the Americans with Disability Act was signed today. Who would have thought, right? And we did not plan that out. It just winded up happening. Manifestation. With that being said, what exactly is Disability Pride Month? It's not just about, going out there and being prideful of what essentially happened to you or what your disabilities are. A lot of it is that we need so much more awareness. We need so much more awareness to eradicate the need of the misplaced pity of people with disabilities, thinking that because we have disabilities, whether they're visible and non-visible, that we're not valuable or that we're unfortunate. And that really does start from us. And I feel that that's a lot of the reason why we did this podcast, right? We want to bring light into invisible disabilities. And one of the things I definitely want to make light of is that not everyone is as open about their disabilities, and that is okay. Everyone is on their own journey. Everyone is on their own path within a recovery journey. Yes, this is You're Too Young to Have a Stroke, so we base our opinions and the things that we've gone through amongst young stroke survivors. And we have to be very careful that some people are not comfortable to share these disabilities. With that being said, just kind of taking away from the stigma of having a disability. Again, you and I speak about invisible disabilities and what we encounter, and being able to bring awareness is essential. And that is what Disability Pride Month is about. And that is why the Americans with Disability Act was signed 33 years today.
Okay. Thank you, Christina. No, that's pretty deep. You said something, and you always say something that sparks some kind of thought that's out of my mind. But, people hide their disability. They don't want to talk about it. I just know for myself, and I don't know about you, but for myself, I'm very passionate of displaying my scars. I rock a bald head. I had a craniotomy. You can't see it here, but I have a couple of scars in my head. I hold it like a badge of honor, and I'm not ashamed of it. But you are right. There are a lot of people out there that are ashamed of it.
I wouldn't say ashamed though. That doesn't mean ashamed. Like, I wear wigs. Mind you, I have an entire head of hair, which you're fully aware of during our meetings when I roll up and I have my big old afro out. I wear wigs. It has nothing to do with the fact that I have a huge lump on this side. It threw me off with the camera. From my VP shunt, or that right where my part is, there's a huge scar from when my VP shunt came in. I don't think sometimes it's about being ashamed. I don't wear wigs because I'm ashamed of my scars. I wear wigs because it depends on what day it is, and I don't know who I want to be. Today I'm Cristina because I have my summer hair on. You know, my girl Saida told me to wear my summer hair, so I have my summer hair on. I feel like for me, it's accessories. So I say that I remember when I got out the hospital and, you know, I was trying to figure out because they had to shave parts of my hair during surgery. And that was the first thing I know I spoke about that somewhere in episode, whatever. That was the first thing I said. I'm like, you cut my hair. Oh my God, you cut my hair. I was really self-conscious about it. I'm not. I feel that my hair is my crown, and I'm very proud of my hair. And I'm glad that I'm very proud of my hair now. And I'm also very proud of my scars. And I feel that maybe it's more of an intimate thing. I don't just let anyone feel my bump or my shunt or my tube. I feel like it's something that's private to me. So I don't know. I didn't like the word ashamed. I'm not ashamed. I get to, you know, play around.
No, I get that, and I was trying to finish my thought, but you cut me off because you just went and did your own thing on that. So I'm gonna allow you just to do your own thing on that.
Well, thankfully the camera went right on me because it knew it was time. But go ahead.
So what I was trying to bring out is that it's not this. I guess I'm using the wrong word, being ashamed, but
You are.
for us to disability pride month, having pride of who you are and showing who you are, and it could be just my opinion, but the more of us being able to explain what's going on with us in our lives can help out the medical teams, help our society, help our communities understand how to deal with people in our predicament. But a lot of times we don't express it because we are, and I don't have a better word, we are ashamed of who we are, who we have become, instead of being exactly who we are supposed to be and let people get a full understanding of who and what a survivor of a stroke, what a disability person looks like, so on and so on. That was the real thing that I wanted to say with that. We have a comment from our audience. Would you like to tackle this one?
This podcast has really helped me to not judge a book by its cover. Thank you guys for a wonderful and informative first season. That's more of a, well, thank you, Destiny.
Thank you, Destiny.
I thought that was a question. You got me pumped up. I was ready. That's a comment. Thank you, Destiny. We appreciate it.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing that me and Christina was trying to do when we started this off, to inform people about, you know, the different sides of being a stroke survivor. You know,
and you really get two different sides from us. I know we briefly touched upon it, but you, have made it very clear that within this recovery, what's helped you is being surrounded by fellow stroke survivors, where I was not. I was surrounded by people who have never had a stroke, who had no idea what a stroke was, and our recovery process through that. We have a lot of similarities, but we definitely think very differently, which I think is great for the audience because we don't know, what their recovery journey is like.
But that's the whole thing. Like, Christina and I had an AVM rupture. We had it in our cerebellum. We both have VP shunts, but her disability versus my disability is completely different. So people need to understand, just because you have a stroke doesn't mean that you're going to act exactly the same as another stroke survivor. It's not like you're going to have the same disability as another stroke survivor. So this is the real reason why we wanted to come on and show you guys what it is all about to be a stroke survivor at a very young age. It's completely different. We didn't change who we are. We didn't become saints because we survived this miraculous thing. We're still the same person or people that we were before. So that is the main point that we're trying to bring out here. So you guys can understand that it's not about my opinion. It's not about Christina's opinion. It's about being patient and listening to whoever you have as a stroke survivor or disabled person.
Absolutely.
Am I right, Christina?
I know, absolutely. Well, speaking of which, how long has it been since for you? I know we're pretty close to each other, but how long has it been since your stroke? Your
Uh,
ABM report, your stroke.
Mine was November 27th, 2017. When was yours?
I'm coming up on my 6-year anniversary this Friday, July 28th, 2017.
Really? What are you doing? Do you do anything special for that?
I do.
Would you like to share, or is it personal?
Every year has been different. Well, as far as after, one thing I have done consistently is I go to watch the sunrise at the beach on the 28th. I don't believe I was able to do it my first year. I believe I was still at home with family, but after that, that has been a consistent thing. And I'm pretty sure I've documented that on Instagram, where I'll write the year in the sand and I'll let it out. It's not only a celebration, it's kind of a mourning for me. This doesn't get easier as the years come on. You still feel it. You still feel it with the days coming up. This entire week, I've really been trying to every day kind of tap into something. I know I posted something yesterday. I took my dogs for a long walk, each separately, to have some one-on-one time with them, and was just really taking in nature. That's what I do. I take in nature, mostly the beach, the ocean. Again, I had mentioned water calms me, but how about you? What do you do? Do you celebrate it, or do you mourn it? There's a little both.
Um, I don't know. At this point, I don't think I put too much thought into it, because now I'm at a point that I had a funeral for my old Gregory, and what I did, I had different things from my past life, and I buried it or sold it or even burned it, so I can actually stop thinking about the old Gregory and move forward to the new Gregory. You know, the old Gregory was married, had houses, had cars, make over six figures, had multiple businesses, and the new Gregory doesn't have that. So I don't look at those particular things anymore, and I don't remind myself of it. I do recognize that the day comes up. I do recognize that this is my new birthday, but I don't give it much weight anymore, because I don't like to be depressed. And going back into those stories over and over again makes me depressed. So that's why I don't really put too much weight into it.
One thing I would love for you is that when you talk about the old Gregory, you also talk about the spirit of old Gregory. I hear the cars, I hear the money, I hear about what you had, all the material things, but the actual spiritual things that you have now and that you had then, that's what I would tap more into. And I know as well as you, like, this stroke recovery is also a financial setback. You don't come out of this, especially if you're unable to work, you're unable to provide. All those things really, absolutely affect you. One thing about me, like, I don't even have a TV in my house. I have paintings on my walls. I don't want a TV. I want to be present, and I want you to be present. Um, I'm glad that you had your morning. I know that you're the king of the F it mentality. Um, and you're very good with letting people know that you shouldn't really care about a lot. I know I've learned a lot from you in reference to that. We don't agree on everything. With that being said, with you mourning that, do you think there's ever a time that you're going to be able to do that and not be depressed about that,
Do
and
what?
be able to look back and think about your old life?
My old life?
Yeah. The Gregory, the six-figure Gregory. with houses and cars and money and a wife.
Oh, I think about it, but I just don't put weight to it anymore. I don't look at it that way anymore because it's a story. It's a story about a life that I thought was perfect, and it wasn't a perfect life. It was a life that I thought I was with my life partner, and I wasn't. I was making excuses. I saw these red flags within myself and with my partner, and I kept on ignoring them. So that's why it comes to a new realm of life of thinking of like, why am I lying to myself? All those stuff that I had before, you talk about the spiritual things. I wasn't completely spiritual until I saw death. Once I saw death, I was like, oh, now I know what I need to do. I need to stop playing around with life. I need to stop playing around with people. Like, and I do this a lot, Christine, and I don't mean to do it, but you know, I truly like the examples of what Jesus did when he was on this earth. He was very straight up about how he spoke to people. People was trying to catch him in lies, and he will come back and says, whoever had, whoever with the first sin, without sin, cast the first stone on this woman that was caught in adultery. And they was looking at him like, yo, why are you talking like that? It's the truth. You guys are trying to catch me. You're trying to do these things. I'm just coming real stuff. If you don't like what I'm saying, that's on you. You can move on and do what you got to do. But my life is my life, and I don't care what you think about. So before I used to think that way. So I stopped doing that. I stopped worrying about what other people think and just be truthful with myself because I know I was lying to myself. We have another question or comment. So let's see what they are saying. Would you like to take this one?
Since this is the last episode of season 1, what have you learned from each other? That Greg don't give up.
But you knew that already.
And he don't give up.
You knew that already.
And he don't care about your feelings. And he don't care if you took it the wrong way. He's going to say it. I learned that that Greg's children are his core. I can say that. That was actually one of my favorite episodes, was having your daughter on here, and just your energy between that and then the episode after you came back from being on vacation with your other daughter. They are absolutely your core, and that's your light. That's really what I learned. It's different when, people post pictures and, they're like, oh, I love my kids. But actually physically and verbally seeing that from you, when you say that that's what you lived for, I can co-sign and say that is absolutely what he's lived for, are those girls. That's what I learned.
What I learned about from you, I learned that you like to have hats of flowers, and you don't bring anything from me to have flowers.
You don't have no hair, and you want to show your scars off.
Yeah, I want to have some hair.
Be proud.
Flowers.
Be proud. Be proud. I'm being proud. I am a Latina, a Black queen who loves flowers. I'm from the Caribbean, so therefore I brought my own flowers. It's not like you sent them to me. I made this myself, sir. Greg, what have you learned?
What I have learned about you,
Take your time.
I don't know if I necessarily learned anything about you, but I have observed things about you that made me very impressed and proud of you, because you have taken away a lot of your scales that you was holding back, and you presented yourself. You became vulnerable. You became open. You allowed yourself to really take on this position of being a voice for this community. And instead of holding back your life, you actually gave yourself so much to us. If you go back and look at Christina's Instagram page, there's not a lot of information about her stroke on there. There's splashes here and there, But now I see that Christina has come to a place that she is ready to take on this battle of being a martyr or patriot for the stroke survivor AVM community. And that's what I have learned from you or seen from you in this particular season. So Saida, that is what I have learned from my friend Christina.
I'm so proud of you saying her name correctly.
I said it correctly the other day.
Okay, nobody's talking about that. I was giving you your flowers right now.
No, I want the physical flowers. I don't know metaphorical flowers. We have
And
another
by the way, audience, men do deserve flowers as well. Destiny, you guys are giving a great lens into the life of a stroke survivor. Is there a time when you felt too exposed? Yes, right now, all the time. Listen, the amount of anxiety that comes through me before we hit live. Now, Greg and I meet before we go live. It doesn't make anything better. This is very exposing. Very. Not only that, you're sitting, you're watching me. I'm in my home. And we all know Greg likes to ask deep questions, and I'm on live, so I don't have time to think of anything. So I have to just be so open. And similar to what Greg said, that within time I have opened up. I've absolutely felt very exposed. Very. Greg has been doing this a lot longer than I have. I met Greg as the ABM superhero, mind you. Greg met me as La Luna X, right? I know I felt very exposed.
I know for me, not so really. This is, and I'm not trying to be arrogant or anything like that. It's just, before this, my career, I was a trainer. When I came out of college, I was a computer trainer. Then I was a director of education for a school. I was a street minister. So I'm very used to being in front of people and being open and being honest with people about my life and about my experiences. So this comes natural for me. And when I did an interview with Christina probably about 2 years ago, she was probably the most interesting conversation that I had on my show. And what she said to me was very, very wow. And I was like, okay, I don't know what the heck is about to happen, but we're about to go for it. And she said, Greg, prepare yourself. This is going to be a wild, wild interview. I'm like, how are you talking about? But her energy was just so on it. So, when I saw that, I was like, one day me and her are going to have a show. Me and her are going to connect. So we've been talking, Christina and I, for about 2 years now, constantly. We stay in each other's lives, through the thick, through the bad, through the good and the ugly, through what happens bad in my life, what good happens in my life, and vice versa. So we had this chemistry together already. So it's easy for me to communicate with Christina and to talk about my life and talk about, like she was talking about my children and open up about them. It's easy for me to do that because I have a great partner in this show to make that happen. So Destiny, that's my answer. We have another question. Saida is coming back with us. I'm not sure if it's a question or a comment, but you can come with it.
It's such a big boy getting all mushy. Look at you. What you got in that cup? No, what we got?
No cup today. There's no cup today.
There's no, that's why he was coughing. Hey, Saida. Yes, Jesus. Come on, Sai. All right, Greg, this is for you.
Okay, she's talking to me.
Yep.
Saida's talking to me. Okay. Yes, Jesus was straight up. He also approached people with empathy, sympathy, and understanding. I'm not sure about that comment. I don't know. Yeah, I guess. And what I'm saying to you is that when it comes to me, if you don't like me, I don't care. If you don't like how I approach, I'm not going to change to make you feel happy. Why am I doing that? I don't care what you think about me. If you don't like me, that's fine. You like me, you like me. But I don't walk around trying to insult people. And if I do insult you, tell me that I have insulted you. But by me just talking and being who I am, if you don't like that, I don't care. That's none of my business. That's your business. I'm gonna still be me because I'm gonna live my life. I've been on my deathbed. I've been handcuffed to the bed, and I couldn't walk. I couldn't eat. I didn't have nobody around me, and I was surrounded by strangers for 6 weeks. And with that being done to me, I realized that I gotta stop being this person that helps everybody else make them happy and not being happy within my own self. What kind of life is that? That's, to me, that's foolish. So I do agree with you, and the same approach that Jesus did have, but I can't see anywhere, even if we're gonna go with that, in the Bible that Jesus actually made people happy based on what he knew was true. Like when Jesus was about to die, he said to Peter, you're gonna deny me thrice. He said, no, you ain't never gonna deny me. You're gonna deny me thrice. And before the cock crowed, he denied him thrice. So people get upset with what he was saying because they didn't know what he was talking about. They was uneducated on what he was going through. Not about being mad because he did something to them. It's because he said something about himself or about what they was going to do because he saw it. I'm not saying that I'm Jesus. I'm just saying I'm taking on that same type of mentality. I'm going to give you love. I'm going to show you love, but I'm not going to fake it. And if you want someone to fake it to, you can talk to somebody else. That's not me.
I think that kind of falls into the line where people would say, just because I'm loved by you doesn't mean that I feel loved by you. There's a huge difference.
Facts.
And that could go hand in hand with just because I understand you doesn't mean I really understand you. So maybe that's the angle she was going through. And speaking of which, we talk about stages of recovery. We're talking about that life goes on after a stroke. Where are you in this stage of recovery?
Where am I in the stage of recovery? I don't know. I don't know which stage I'm at now because this is completely new to me. This is our 6th year, so things are different. I could tell you I know where I'm not at and where I have passed. I was depressed. I was anxious. I was at a place of nowhere to go, nowhere to live any further. I was at that place. I went through a divorce. I went to a place that I was living with someone for 20 something years. And then after things went sideways, when it was mutual that we should go different ways, I lost the person that knew me best. So I had to learn myself over again. I was at a place that I didn't have health insurance for a year. So I got sicker and sicker. And that was a very bad place for me too. So I had to learn all this stuff for myself. So I have learned how to deal with my anxieties. I have learned how to deal with depression. I have learned to open myself to new people that I didn't think I would talk to before because I didn't think we would connect. I learned to listen to people's opinions. I learned to understand that people have opinions based off of their personality, their perspectives of life, their trauma, whatever they went through in life. And I don't judge it when I used to judge it before. So with my recovery, I still have, problems with my hands and with my feet. I just realized that I have neuropathy. I thought it was always that everybody have this problem with their hands feeling like pins and needles. I'm realizing that it's neuropathy. It's going from my left foot to my right foot now, and I feel it and I understand it coming from diabetes. I never really understood what diabetes will actually do to you. Now I do. So I'm at a place right now that my physical disability doesn't bother me as much anymore, Christina. My life is more about my mental state. Like you was talking about the spirituality of things. I'm more at the spiritual place now and learning how to grow into a better person and enjoy the second part of my life that I didn't think I was going to have. How about you? Where are you with your recovery?
Well, I remember getting asked early on in recovery. A family member texted me, and I took it so offensively. They were like, I hope you're thriving and not surviving. And I was like, no, I'm surviving. And I still think that I am surviving. And I feel as though I'm also thriving. I feel that to be able to thrive, you have to survive through what you need to go through to thrive. So I feel that this journey is not that, okay, we went through 3 or 4 years and now I'm thriving because I can work a full-time job. I can live on my own. I can drive a car. I can have relationships with people. I can go out. I can go out and dance. None of which really explains you internally, these invisible disabilities, the chemical imbalance within you that your body goes through when you go through something like this. Um, I feel, I wouldn't say thriving. I feel like I'm very centered. I feel that I'm very aware. And more importantly, I'm very present. Um, that's where I'm at. I'm very present. I'm very aware. And I'm very centered. I know what does not mix well with me. And that's, anything, my body's very receptive to anything, both positive and negative, and I pay attention to that. And I'm at a place where I notice those things, and I sometimes, depending on what it is, I struggle on being able to get there. And I think a lot of people do, you know, um, this thriving aspect. Thriving is not you feeling normal. There will never be a normal. There's going to be a you. There is a Christina. There's also Luna, but there's a Christina, you know? Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but let's talk about that because
Let's not.
there's people in this community that will argue with that, and I don't know why they do, because I guess it's perspective of words. That word is surviving or thriving, you know. To me, it's like tomatoes, tomatoes. I don't really care, but you know, some people would like to say they don't use the word surviving because it seems like it's holding you back. While you say thriving is more of a pushing forward type of mentality. What do you say about that, Christine? Does that actually have any bearings to what you're saying right now, or you're like me, tomatoes, tomatoes?
Tomatoes, tomatoes. You're surviving. You survive having to wake up to go to work. You have to survive of waking up and not going to work and figuring things out. You have to survive the day of knowing, how. I mean, you said you live without health insurance for a year. You had to survive every day hoping that something wasn't going to go wrong. How within that aspect were you thriving? Because you were able to go to sleep and wake back up? Absolutely. And as I said, it's like limbo. You can't thrive without surviving. You need that. And I know I've mentioned it, that survival mode mentality where, it's you. It's you first. It always has to be you first. Because if you're not okay, nothing else is going to be okay. And that in general, for even non-stroke survivors, is something a lot of people, it takes a long time to get to that point or to realize that if you yourself aren't okay, nothing else matters. It doesn't matter about what the next person is doing or how the next person feels, or if you're not okay, and if you're not okay with yourself. So tomatoes, tomatoes, but you have to survive to be able to thrive.
Christina, I want to stay on this a little bit longer, but I want to go down, I guess, a little path of this highway. I get people talk to me all the time after they had a stroke, maybe in their first year and their second year, and they'll ask me a question, and I know what I want to tell them, but they're not ready to hear that yet. And a lot of times they will say things to me, and I just have to look at them and ask them, you do realize that I've been through that too. So they will say something like, man, this is so overwhelming. I have so many hospital bills. I can't take this no more. I'm like, we all do. Like, we got to stop using these excuses, because this is, I know where you are, and I know it was overwhelming. But when you say that to other people that haven't gone through this, yeah, they would look, oh my goodness, that's so sad. But for me, I'm like, man, and I don't give them that answer, but I try to move them forward. I'm like, okay, that's going to be there. You got to, do you have a lawyer? Do you have anybody that's helping you out with this? Because that's going to be there. Now, what about this? What about your mental health? What about your spirituality? Are you worrying about that so much that you're not moving forward? And that's where I am. So I'm very careful how I answer people when it comes to that, because they will ask me a question, how did you start walking? I'm like, I can't answer that for you. We had different answers. We have different strokes. Everybody has different types of recovery. So I can't, that's not a question you should ask. The question that I can help you with is, if you ask me, how did you get over your depression? Oh, I can tell you what I did, and maybe that can help you. But for walking, I'm different than you are. How do you deal with that, Christina? Do you get questions like that?
I don't get any questions. What I was going to say, because again, you are very much involved within the stroke community. You, which I've mentioned to you with me, you yourself, I think something you learned during this episode, or, during the season, is that you yourself need patience with another stroke survivor. They're asking you that question because that's the question that they feel like they need to know. They are absolutely in no position to be able to, identify, like, that's probably not the right question to ask someone, just in the same sense as somebody who hasn't had a stroke would come out there and ask you. There's times where I've spoken to you and I just go on a tangent about like personal things, and your response is like, how did this become about you? I remember one our conversation, you were like, how did this become about you? And I'm like, I don't know, but it did. And I said what I said, and now it's out. So let's move on. Do you recall?
I don't know.
But I'm saying for you, that same sense, you yourself, I think you have to identify that when it comes to other stroke survivors, we're other stroke survivors. Like, I have to check you. Like, I had a stroke, right? Like, I don't know what I'm saying. I'm all over the place. I'm like you. Like one of my first reels, right? People like me. People like you. Remember that? And then I was like, all right, listen, here we are. It's us. So I personally do not have experience with other stroke survivors coming to me to ask questions. The closest that I've come to that, honestly, was when you left me, when you were on vacation, and I had to do this by myself. and Mr. Doja, shout out, and I think it was Super Villain. They were at me. They were, and I told you, I was like, I was so overwhelmed. I was like, wow, Greg, how do you do that? How do you do it? I think I did pretty well, but that's I didn't even have time to think, why are they asking me those type of questions? I was just like, oh, there's more questions. Like, wow. So unfortunately, I can't give too much input on that because I don't have stroke survivors coming to me asking me questions in reference to my stroke. I have more medical personnel or people who have not experienced a stroke. So
But
I don't got
you just answered it in a very unique way. I don't know if you realized it or not, but you said to me, and that triggers for me. I don't know if it triggers for other people, but when someone says, I had a stroke too, that doesn't, I'm trying to process. That makes me slow down. I'm like, okay, I know that I need to slow down with this person because they're processing. I don't remember that sometimes myself. So when that is being said, that makes me transition from being that aggressive assertive to, okay, what is this person trying to tell me? Because they're trying to get something out. And that is a good way for us when we're talking to other stroke survivors, like, hey, I know you had a stroke. I had a stroke too, and I'm trying to figure this out. That's when things slow down for everybody that's in the actual conversation. We have another comment or question.
You guys showcase how you have to keep moving forward, embrace the new you. How has this podcast pushed you forward in life?
Oh, you want me to go first?
That was me trying to pretend like I'm frozen so you can see my good
Yeah,
side.
I saw your eyes moving back and forth, so it didn't really work.
Um, push me forward. I feel like kind of jumping back on what Greg said, being a voice, and being able to openly speak about this and speak about my experience. And I know I bring, I try to bring a lot of humor. I got a lot of energy. And for whatever reason, wherever that energy hits, I feel that there's only one reason why such a 6'5" woman like myself would be filled with so much energy, and it's to spread that out to other people. So as far as what it's done for me, it's allowed me to release some of that. It may not be right now, it may not be in a couple months, but I feel like I get to release some of that energy and that it's going to go to exactly where it needs to go. Back to you, Greg.
For me, I wouldn't necessarily say it has done anything for me. Uh, I kind of expected this. Uh, I've been doing this for about 2.5 years already, but I really wanted my friend Christina to get into this realm. So I'm not really just doing it for myself. I'm doing it so Christina could get into this realm, so we could have more AVM survivors to speak and be more vocal on this. I'm here because I want her to actually be a big name in this community. I want her to show her voice. I want people to understand that you can be um, partially blind and still be the best person that you can be, and still have a vibrant voice. And I've been waiting for my sister to do this. So this is why I'm doing this show. It's not necessary for me. I have another show. I do my shows. I want my sister to come along and find her rightful space to be that AVM superhero as she is. So that's what it is for me. Yeah, stop crying back there.
I'm not. I have lashes on. I can't. I don't want them to come off.
All right.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Dolores Graham. Is that your mom?
That's my mammy. That's my mammy.
Hi. I don't know what mammy is. Hi, Mother
Oh, that's my
Graham.
mom.
Hi, beautiful queen. She's so cute. She just said, hello, everyone. I love it. So back to our topic, right? I
All
mean,
right.
I feel that everything that we're speaking about
Yes, ma'am.
is in reference to what we're, what our topic is that life is not over after a stroke. This podcast is complete. I believe I put that in my caption, is, if not, I mean, a perfect example to be in situations where you really do need that extra time to gather your thoughts, to be able to know what it is that you're going to say, with having comments come in and us not knowing what type of comments are going to come in, and being able to adapt to that and being able to embrace that is one of the ways for me personally that I can honestly say that within this journey, I know that life is not, it's not over, and that there's so much more. And for those that have reached out to us outside of this podcast, and to see the excitement, and with this being our last episode of season 1, 12 episode, well, I'm gonna say 11 because one of them was me by myself, so 11 episodes with Greg, one with me by myself. It's been a journey for us, that the feeling, making the reels, making the little flyers, all of which. But we are going to be back in October. And that is actually AVM Awareness Month. And one thing I want to make sure to get out there is that we absolutely encourage other AVM survivors. It doesn't just have to be a rupture. Even if you're living with an AVM, I still have my AVM, it's coiled. If they want to come on to the show, make sure you reach out to us. You don't even have to just hit us in the DMs, little comment on a photo or a video, because again, with wrapping it all around, it's Disability Pride Month. And more importantly, it's time for us to bring awareness. And we're just two little tokens within this, right, Greg?
Absolutely,
That
Queen.
we
Absolutely. I
encourage that.
completely love that. Oh, my mama saying something about you. She's not talking about me.
Oh, think Miss Grant said it's a headband. You see that?
I
I
can hear
made
her in
it.
the background. She said, "Oh, it's a headband."
Yeah, I made it. I went to I'm an artsy girl. I went and got a whole bunch of fake flowers. I was Dias de la Muerte for a Halloween, and I used this as a headband. And actually, when I went to go see my beautiful mother, who I would like to, put out there, it is Disability Pride Month. Dementia, which is what my mother suffers from, is within the Disability Pride Month, as well. Cognitive abilities, and I won't speak anymore about that because I don't want to cry, baby. I had this hat on her, and she loved it. She gave a lot of sassiness, which is where I get it from. I am absolutely Lucy Lena's daughter, and I'm very proud to be. So thank you, Mama Graham. I appreciate it. Your son wants one. We'll have to go for a different color, though. I don't think red is his color. He looks more like a salmon.
Salmon.
A salmon.
Destiny says she can't wait for season 2. I can't wait either.
I can. Nice is gonna be not have to get all dolled up on Sunday to make some reels.
But Christina, I have one more question for you,
Okay.
and I know you have something within your life that helps you out and has become part of your family. But I see it a lot now, and I didn't know it was available to me. I see a lot of disabled people having service dogs. I go on planes. I see them in malls. I see them everywhere, and I'm like, don't pet this particular dog because it's a service dog, such and such. You know, can you speak on that about what your service dog has done for you and how was you able to get a service dog? Are we able to get one if we have a disability?
You absolutely are. Even if it's your, your pet, you can go and get them trained. There's plenty. I mean, there's so much stuff online. You can get them trained. They can be I believe, what is it called? A support animal. If you live in an area or, in a place where you have to pay a pet fee. If you have a licensed service dog, you don't even have to, that fee is waived. Um, there's a lot that goes into it. But it is, if you have that connection with your animal, it's absolutely worth it. Why not? To be able to bring your animal. My Zini, my Zini. Um, I initially got her as I guess, just as a gift. And she is absolutely a huge instrument within my recovery, where during the time I got her, I spent a lot of time alone, and she was my companion, and she was very attentive to me. She knew when I wasn't feeling well. She was able to pick up on that. Um, Feeling any type of emergency. And it's much deeper than just having a pet, to have a pet when you are off, to really tap into you and really keep you alive in a lot of ways. Now that, we've been just kind of together, I have her little sister as well, who is not a service dog, but Xena is so attentive. She's so aware, and more importantly, aware of me. I literally could be on the other side of the house and going for a moment, not just wanting to let it out a little bit, and not that I'm screaming or anything, and you could hear her, coming over to me. I would highly suggest, if you are financially in a position to do so. And I say that because obviously you have to feed a dog. Not only that, not only just a financial, but in the physical aspect too. Xena is a German Shepherd, so she needs a lot of exercise, which allows me to have to be more physically active, because there is absolutely no way that you could have a German Shepherd and not give them the exercise that they need, or else they're going to drive you crazy. So it kind of goes into that. So walking is therapeutic for me, as it would be for other people too. So I highly suggest that. I would highly suggest, definitely do your research. You can make your own. I'm not saying to go out there and get animals. Please don't. If you have your own animal that you have, a connection with already, there are so many programs, so many trainers where you can train them to become your licensed service animal. And I would highly suggest that for people. Absolutely.
I know I'm putting you on the spot, but do you recommend any places that or any sites for people to actually start doing that investigation for it?
I don't, because I wasn't prepared to, and I have a brain injury, so I don't recall. Thank you.
Okay, okay. Uh, but you do recommend, I guess, and I heard you talk about German Shepherds. Do you recommend a certain type of breed towards your type of personality? Do you recommend that, or does it make a difference?
Absolutely. What I recommend is if you already have a pet that you're very close to, it could even be a cat. I believe you can make your cats a support animal.
Really?
Um, do that. Now, I'm not saying in any means do not go out. I love puppies and I love animals. So I'm not telling people to go out there, because I know during when COVID hit, everyone got an animal. And now all these poor little babies need homes. And I wish that I was able to have lots and lots of money to get land and have all these animals with me, because I love animals. But I'm not suggesting for anyone to go out there and get an animal. I'm not. If you already have an animal that that you feel, whether or not your animal really helps you, supports you, there are, again, you can Google. Unfortunately, I can't give you any websites because I wasn't prepared, but Google how to make a support animal, how to make your dog a service dog. I wish I was more prepared. Zena has her own little license and I got renewed. Like, I can take her anywhere. And I love that. And I just suggest, if you feel like your animal's up for it, then go for it. Invest those couple $100 to get them trained. If they need that additional training, you could even train your dog to do CPR, and do that. It's very beneficial. Very.
CPR? I didn't know that. So I'm trying to understand this and your dog and what she does for you. And you said they could be trained like CPR. So I guess they could notice if you having high blood pressure, if you're or low blood pressure and all things, anxiety. They could be trained for that. Is that what you're telling us?
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's dope.
They have them for diabetics, when their sugars, like the dog come over and nudge them. I mean, there's so many things you can see on YouTube, Instagram, all of which, depending on your animal, or if you go out and get a support animal. I mean, there's so much. And I would highly suggest, if you're able to do that, please go adopt. Don't get a puppy. Please go adopt, because just animals are very much like humans. If you go to a shelter and you're giving that dog a home, that dog is going to be that much more loyal to you, because you're changing their life. And in return, they're going to protect yours. So I do not suggest to go out and get new puppies, and go adopt an animal. I love animals.
Cool. I dig it. Thank you for sharing that.
So with that being said, it's about that time, sir. I personally want to thank Greg. I want to thank you. I want to thank the audience. And I also want to make sure that if you haven't seen any of our other episodes, make sure you go back and you review. You can go and watch our episodes on YouTube. I know we have clips on Instagram. And of course, we have our Facebook group, You're Too Young to Have a Stroke. Again, we'll be taking a recess. We'll be coming back in October. We thank you. Me personally, I want to thank all those who weekly have been so supportive. My friends, my family who are my friends, vice versa. And Greg, you too. I can't believe you got me on a podcast. Who would have thought? Believe it or not, I know I'm out there on this podcast, but I mean, you can ask Greg. If I don't know you like that, I'll mess with you. I always say I'm nice, but I'm not friendly. I'm really not. But I'm so grateful. This has been a great first season. I feel like for myself, it is an absolute definition of what today's episode is, that life is not over. I never would have thought 6 years ago around this time that I would be with one eye and a machine in my brain and metal in my brain, doing a podcast and talking to people. So I love this, and thank you for this. And thank you for everyone who's been so supportive, for me
Thank
and
you
my
guys. We love y'all.
guys. And we'll see
Absolutely
you
love
now.
y'all.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you, Christina. Have a great time off. Hopefully, we'll speak and talk. And everybody, please connect with us. We're not going anywhere. We're still on Instagram. We're still on YouTube. We're still on Facebook. Connect with us. Talk with us. Give us suggestions for different shows that you want to have. And like Christina said, we love you guys and really appreciate you guys. You guys are really therapeutic for us. You're making us think fast on our feet. We really appreciate you guys with the questions. Keep on coming with them. We love you guys. AVM is out. And La Luna X out.